This is a DrumWise Meets, and today I'm here with Clem Cattini. Hi, Clem.
Hiya, how you doing? All right, Tom?
What age did you get into drums, and when you first started, what bands or artists inspired you when you were first playing?
Well, the thing is, I got into by accident. I had some mates who played guitar, and I had a little band. I used to go and watch them play, and we went to see the Blackboard Jungle. And you know, they obviously Rockin' Around the Clock was the main theme, wasn't it? So as we come out of the cinema hall, they said, "Oh, let's form a rock and roll group." I said, "Yeah, okay. What do I play?" They said, "Well, you play drums." So I did. So, and that's not. I've never had a lesson in my life. I was nearly 17 at the time, so I started pretty late, you know. Yeah. And my inspiration, I think, was my inspiration were people like Buddy Rich. When I started playing, I had the Buddy Rich drum tutor, which I used to practice to, like in my bedroom, when I was between working for my dad. You know, when I used to have my lunch break, I'd go to the bedroom because we lived above our restaurant. And I'd go in there and practice for half an hour instead of having lunch and things like that. So, Buddy Rich and all those sort of like 30s, 40s drummers were my inspiration until I heard some of the sort of like rock and roll records. And I just got into it, and that was it. So that was the first band I ever got into, was a band called Terry Kennedy's Rock and Rollers. And we did a tour with Max Wall. I don't know if you're too young to remember a guy called Max Wall. No, you probably are, yeah. He was a comedian. And what he did, he decided to do a Buddy, what's his name, who did Rock Around the Clock? He decided to do a Bill Haley sketch, and his act was a laugh, and he'd had the jacket on and all that, and he had this us behind. It was a rock and roll group. So that was my first introduction into a band. Yeah, that was it.
Oh, right.
In 19, frozen to death.
And what was your first drum kit?
First drum kit I bought for 20 quid. I had a bass drum that I could just about see over the top of it. I had a military snare drum with separate, separate snares on the bottom of the, not sort of like now you get the complete thing. It was like separate. You had to tune up each snare wire itself. And I had a cymbal called a crut that when you hit it used to bend, so I just had to straighten it out. That cost me 20 quid. And then the first one I bought professionally was a Premier.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Do you still have it?
No, I don't have the original. No, I have got a Premier. I've got 10 kits, as it happens. You know, well, I did have 10 kits. I've got rid of a couple of them. No, I traded it in because I was given one of the very first Ludwigs. Early 60s. Yeah. In about 1959, when Trixon actually, when I was with the Tornadoes, I had a Trixon. And when I was with Johnny Kidd, I had a Trixon, which was great. I wish I had it now because they're worth a bomb.
Yeah. Yeah, all the vintage stuff's just rocketing.
Yeah.
Now, this next question, a lot of people have found quite tough. So we'll see how we go. I would find it really hard to answer as well. But if you had to pick just one, who would be your all-time favourite drummer?
What of any era?
Just ever, yeah.
Well, I think it's got to be Buddy Rich. I met him a couple of times, and I got on well with him, despite all the rumours about what he was like. And I got on quite well with him. So yeah, I mean, I think he was one of but I would say Buddy Rich. Yeah.
And then if I made it easier for you and I said, okay, so now give us 4 more or something, who are your other big inspirations?
Other inspirations was Elvis Presley's drummer. touch. Of course, oh God, what's his name? Oh yeah, Steve Gadd.
Oh,
Steve Gadd, yeah. The thing is, I've met quite a few of the guys, you know. God, what's his name? Austrian guy, Austrian drummer.
oh, drummer. What, fairly current?
Yeah, he's like the modern era. I think he played with the Pussycat Dolls at one time as well.
Thomas Lang?
Thomas Lang, yeah. What a lovely guy. I became quite friendly with him, you know. To be honest, they've all inspired me in some way.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can't, you know, you listen to bits of everybody, don't you? You nip things off everybody. You know, that's what I did, I suppose. You know.
Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the reason like Steve Gadd, particularly, that I like of that sort of modern era drummer is he knows when to play, if you know what I mean. You know, he knows what to leave out when he should leave it out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've seen him a few times. It's incredible, you know.
And actually, that's a good time to ask you this question, which I've kind of written for you for this interview. So, talking about, you know, leaving parts out and recording songs. So, when you get asked to track drums for an artist, you know, just broadly speaking, over the years, when you've recorded something, how do you work out what it is that you've got to play? I mean, obviously, I realise it would vary from session to session, but generally speaking, how does it work?
Well, the one rule that I've always had, and I think it applies to anybody was when I was doing sessions, you play the song. You listen to the song and you play what the song needs. It's no good doing sort of being an Olympic drummer flying around the kit on a ballad, you know. So you have to play to the song, you know. And so, I mean, I was sort of I was blessed, if you like, with no technique. I'm not an Olympic drummer by any stretch of imagination. And my thing was, I've been told I had very good time. That is another thing, you know. It's so important. It's time. Because, you know, that's what you're there for. You know, it's no good doing an amazing thrill around the kit and it doesn't come out after 4 bar or a bar or 4 beats, whatever, you know. So I was lucky in that respect that I wasn't blessed with the technique. So, you know, but it's you know, that is important. Play the song. That's what it's about. You know, and I played straight down the line. And I just, whatever I thought needed done. And if they liked it, great. If not, I mean, I come across a couple of times when they say, oh, can you be a bit more, you know, flashy and all that? And I said, no. You know, can you play like Keith Moon? I was asked once. And I said, no, get Keith Moon. I'm not, you know, simple as that, you know.
And actually, speaking of that then, so have there been any songs over the years that you would class as like the hardest songs you've ever had to track? You know, time signatures or anything complicated that was hard at the time?
There was a thing I did for something Heyman or Hamer. It was an American jazz singer. He said that he taught Sinatra how to sing. My brain's gone with names at the moment. We was going in to do the session. It was only what they call a half session, which was worth about £7 at the time. And we did the first track, which was just an ordinary ballad. And they said, right, go and have a break, come back. It was a 2-hour session. And then I got back and the part was absolutely black. I looked at it and I've got to be honest with you, I think, no, my stomach fell to the bottom through me, literally, you know. And it was like, can I please go home, sir? And it was one of the hardest things. I mean, in fact, when they sent me the record, I actually phoned up and said, did you re-record it? And they said, no. I said, what? Why? I said, well, that's not me playing on that, surely, you know, but it was. So, and then, I mean, a lot of the time, I think the biggest problem was film sessions, which are very hard because, you know, apart from the playing, you had to listen to what's the click track, you know, most of the time in those days, because you had to play to a click so that the the punctuation marks came at the right time.
Good stuff.
I'll tell you another story actually about talking about that. I got booked for a session, and my wife had messed the time up. She told me I'd been away somewhere, and I got home that night. I was knackered. She said, "Oh, by the way, you're working tomorrow." I went, "Oh God." She said, "From 2 till 5." I said, "Okay." So anyway, the phone rings at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's the contractor. "Where are you?" I said, "What do you mean, where am I?" He said, "You're supposed to be here at 10 o'clock at Bye to do a session." I said, "No, 2." He said, "No, it's 10 till 5. It was called a double session." Anyway, I got dressed and I got there about an hour and a half late. Got out the part. It was for Tony Hatch, and it was for some French singer. I can't remember who it was. And I looked at the part, and it got 9/8. I looked at it, I said, 9/8? What, 9/8? I couldn't even read 4/4, never about 9/8. Because I didn't read. I didn't know there was difference between a crotchet and a hatchet, to be honest with you. Anyway, I looked, and I knew Tony anyway, and I said, "Look, forget it." He said, "We'll do a take." I said, "I haven't even rehearsed it." I said, "I don't even know what 9/8 is." Anyway, I ended up leaving the studio because I should get somebody else. I said, "I can't." And as I walked out the studio with the drums round my neck, I just turned around and said, "Well, I've been slung out of better bands than yours anyway." But then that's the day I decided to learn to read. So that was one of the where I came a cropper.
Okay, so
but
go on. Sorry.
No, but it was a lesson learned.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's what I was going to say. So, for the youngsters of today starting out, then, would you say that reading? Obviously, I'm not saying it's everything, but is it an important skill?
Yeah, I think. I mean, the thing with reading, it's not the be all and end all. I mean, I'm glad that I learned to play and do what I did the way round. That I learned to busk first, because believe me, my busking skills and got me out of a lot of. You know, I got to where the guy said, "Oh, it's not what I wrote, but I like what you've done better." You know, so the thing is, but reading is a means to an end. It's not the end. You know, it means you start together, you play bits together, and you end together. But it's not the end. You know, it's not the thing. So, but I think busking skills is very important as well. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Until you come up against the 9/8 part, and then
then I suddenly realised that when I did a thing called "Say Your Love for Me" by Rennie Emeraldo, and that was in 9/8. So that's just what it meant in the end.
There we go. And while we're talking about tracking and you being in the studios, obviously you did a lot of work in the 60s and the 70s in the studio. And how was that different to what we see in the studio today in terms of pressure on you as the drummer and how it worked? Was it harder then than it is now?
I think it's a lot easier now in some respects, because in those days, if you made a mess up, if you messed up something and you had to stop playing or whatever, you had to do the whole song again. There was no like, now, hang on, I've messed up, I've missed a bar or something. They could go, "Okay, don't worry about it, we'll slot it in," which they do. Then it was you did the whole thing again. And when you got a trumpet section all glaring at you, pointing to their lips and going, "Lips, lips," it does get a bit of a pressure, especially when I wasn't a good reader, as well, which didn't help. But I think it was hard nosed. Also, most of the time it was all done in one go. You went in the there was a whole band there. I remember the first time I went into, because most of the stuff I did in the early 60s, end of 50s and 60s was mostly group stuff. I was covering for groups. I did stuff for the Kinks. I was asked to actually do the Who, but they didn't want a session drummer to do it, things like that. And then I walked into the studio. I was doing a Kinks album in the small studio the night before, and I've been booked in the big studio the next morning. So I moved my stuff into the big studio, and I thought, "Oh, plenty of time." Walked in, and it was wall-to-wall musicians. And it was the first time that I'd ever had to sit with a big orchestra. And believe me, excuse my language, I crap myself. I've got to be honest with you. No. It was definitely a case of the session man's kit, which was a pencil with a rubber and a pair of plastic lined asbestos trousers for roast ups. But, yeah, so
yeah. So
but you only learn lessons. No.
Yeah, exactly. Now, while we're on this subject, you know, you've recorded for so many people. You've recorded some incredible songs. Again, this might be a hard one for you to answer, but what's been the highlight of your career so far?
The highlight. They've all been the highlights of my career. I've got to be honest, you know, I'm never some good ones. It's the bad ones. I mean, you know, I did the Wombles stuff, you know, which was fun enough. Was great to play. I enjoyed doing it. And when I was Cliff, I enjoyed doing Cliff stuff. I enjoyed doing. I don't know. I think Hurdy Gurdy Man was one of the highlights. Because the thing is, after about 2 years, I got credited for it, you know. But no, I've had so many highlights. I can't really put my finger on one, you know. Oh, another thing is, I did a tour with the Kids from Fame, you know, the American. I don't know if you remember it. You might be too young.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, I did 2 tours with them, and I really enjoyed it. You know, playing, and also I did a stint at Caesar's Palace in Luton, by the way. I thought I'd get that in. And again, that was, I really enjoyed it as a player, you know. So I've had a lot of highlights. I can't really pinpoint any particular one. They've all been highlights for me, you know.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. And you mentioned Cliff Richard there. Hopefully I've got my facts right here. Is it right that you played on Devil Woman?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Were there any others, or is that the Cliff one? Is that the?
I did some other tracks with Cliff, but I mean, the one that I remember, obviously, it was Devil Woman, because it sort of brought him back into the limelight, didn't it? You know, got him back on the road again, and that's when I joined his band. Funny enough, you know.
Right. Yeah. The reason I mention that is because. Very brief story about me. My mum used to be really into Cliff Richard, and sadly she's no longer with us. But when I first, started to play in my bedroom when I was about 12, 13, she had a Cliff Richard video, like live Cliff Richard VHS, and I put that in, headphones on, and I'd be playing away. And that very much Devil Woman is a song I remember. And obviously back then. I never obviously thought about who the drummer was on the record, being guy to the live guy, and you know. So yeah, that's just there. You're playing on that track influenced me as a drummer, so that's so cool.
Nice to hear. I mean, yeah, I'm famous for the. I don't know. Everybody tells me about the first fill. I don't know what's so special about it, but everybody, you know, the drummers say, "Oh, I love that fill you played at the beginning of Devil Woman," but I don't think what it was so good about it. I mean, I think the fill I did in the middle of Everlasting Love was better.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. Now, moving on to another topic here. So for those watching this interview that might not know the story, could you talk to us about your lunch invitation from Led Zeppelin's Peter Grant in, I believe,
Peter Grant, yeah. Well, I mean, I've worked with, obviously, I knew Jimmy Page. I've worked with Jimmy Page. I've worked with John Paul Jones, because we were both in the Lulu band together. John was the bass player in the Lulu band when I was in it. We used to travel together. And then I got a phone call from Peter Grant saying, "I'd like to take you to lunch. I've got a project that I want to put together." So I said, "Well, yeah, right." And to be honest, I was working from sort of 3 sessions a day, you know, and I didn't have time to go to lunch, so it never materialised. Just after, what was their first one that got in the charts? The big one, was it? There's Something of Heaven, was it?
Stairway to Heaven.
Yes, Stairway to Heaven, that's it. And I saw Peter Grant. I went, "Was it Peter?" He went, "Yep, it was." So, you know, that was a sort of invitation. And it was evidently on Jimmy Page's recommendation.
Awesome.
So, you know, that's the story. But there you go.
That's cool.
I must admit, I didn't really fancy myself going around the country sticking stuff up my nose anyway. So.
Well, yeah, exactly. I don't think you did too badly choosing the path that you chose, you know?
No.
Now the reason I ask you that question is because my main gig, when gigs are happening, is a UK tribute to Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple.
Oh, really? All right.
That's why I asked.
Oh, no.
People, fans of Purple Zeppelin, might watch this video. Be interested in that question.
I mean, getting back to how it all happened for me, I got into sessions because, well, after I left the Tornadoes, because I'd had enough, you know, I mean, it wasn't one of the happiest times of my life as a player, to be honest with you. But when I left and I went down to Denmark Street, used to sit there next door in the Giaconda Cafe, and guys would come in and say, "Oh, can you do anything? Yeah, can you come and do a quick demo for me?" And I go and got £6 and you do a demo for them. And it started, I got people ringing up, "Did you do the demo for such and such a such?" So this, I said, "Yeah." And "Can you come and do the master?" This is what happened with Devil Woman, because I did the demo for it. And they asked me to do the master. And that's how really I got into the session scene. You know, so that's why I say I didn't read, because I mean, most of the stuff I did was from my head. You know, evidently I'm told, I don't know, that I did quite a few demo stuff with the Rolling Stones. So I'm told.
Oh, right. Oh, cool.
You know, but I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
I can't remember anything I did.
I
can't remember what I did yesterday.
I wonder if any of that still exists, any of those, you know.
I believe it does, yeah. Stuff they did at Regent Sound in Denmark Street, evidently, before they became famous, you know.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Excellent. So now on to the questions that I ask everybody. So have you ever had anything, so let's say we're talking about a live gig here. Have you ever had anything go wrong on stage that you've had to recover from, whether it be a brain fail or a gear fail?
Oh yeah, I've had a falling off the stage, falling off the off the drum riser. That's happened when I was I'd had a bit too much to drink. That was the only time ever, and the last time that I ever had drink before I went on stage, and I fell off the back of the drum riser. The audience thought it was hilarious, of course, but I've never ever gone on stage again in my whole of my career having a drink. So that taught me a lesson. But yeah, it was quite funny, really. And the other one was I was on the drum riser and the brakes had failed on the riser. You know, most stages have got a rake on them, and I ended up in the footlights hanging over the pit. So yeah. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
Oh, you know what? Next time I ever get on a stage, whenever that is now, I will be checking the riser is perfectly in place, because some of the rakes on stages that I play on are ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, you can imagine them. The brakes were for some reason, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I'm going, way. Nobody could stop it, you know, and I ended up literally in the footlights, you know. So there you go.
Wow. So a couple of curveball questions for you now. What are your hobbies away from drums?
Football.
Arsenal.
My daughter's shouted. Football, and I used to play a lot of golf. You know.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because my the old age had crept in, I don't play anymore. But yeah, I go to football mainly. You know, watch football. I go to football with my daughter. You know, just sit there and shout at everybody. That's quite good.
Excellent. From what I've read about you, Clem, you like a nice cup of tea.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Can't beat a good cup of tea, yeah.
Now, this question is a question I've asked everybody, but hopefully it'll be, you know, quite relevant to you. It's not about tea, but I think there is a link here. So, most important question of this entire interview: what's your favourite biscuit?
Garibaldi.
Oh, okay.
I like them, yeah, with the dead fly.
Fly biscuit, yeah.
Yeah, I like them, yeah, yes. I would say they're they're good for dunking as well.
Right, so that was my next question. That's what I was going to say. Linking it to the tee, are you a dunker?
Oh yeah, oh you got to be. Oh yes, most important. That's one of the most important things. I mean, because apart from it sweetens the tea up, so I don't take sugar in tea. It's much nicer. Plus the fact is my teeth. I'm losing my teeth. They're softer to eat.
Have you got any other biscuits that are favourites to dunk?
Yeah, but my wife won't buy them. I like the fig rolls, but she don't like it. They're too sweet because I've got diabetes, so I'm not allowed them.
Oh, okay. Excellent. So, if you could just give one bit of advice to up-and-coming drummers, people starting out that maybe want to make a career of drums ultimately, what would your advice be?
Well, first of all, practice. Obviously, I'm allowed to practice 5 hours a day. Use a metronome to start with. You must use a metronome because the thing is, not because the thing, it makes you relax. Now, I mean, a drummer yourself, you can play a load of triplets for 12 bars or 16 bars and play them with a metronome, and the difference in the way it makes you relax with a metronome is good. So use a metronome to start with, you must, and then just throw it away and just practice as you normally would. Secondly, play the song. Use your ear holes. Listen to what other people are playing. Use your ears and play the song. You don't need to be, you don't need to be an Olympic drummer. So, and also, of course, enjoy what you're doing. There's nothing better than being able to play a musical instrument, whatever it is. Although people say we're not, but we are. Because let's face it, drummers are the bottom of the band. We're the boiler room of the band, aren't we?
That's it. Yeah. Well, just think about the tracks you've recorded without your drum part. They wouldn't quite sound the same, would they?
Yeah, I suppose not. No. Some of them you wouldn't even hear me anyway. But the thing is, no, it's it. Play the song. That's the main thing. Listen, use your ears, play the song, and also I say, time is so important. As you know, as a drummer, that is vitally important. So practice with a metronome and throw it away, but at least have an hour with a metronome or more, because it makes you sit back. I mean, I never realised it till I was told. And then I started and I thought, blimey, what a difference, and it does make a difference. And also it gives you a sense of time, which is, let's face it, that's what we're there for, aren't we?
So, Clem, thank you so much for spending your time with us at DrumWise today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you.
My pleasure. Thanks for asking. I've been of some use to somebody, and I'll say, enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the music. There's nothing better than being able to play music. And thank you for having me anyway.